Hi, Econ students. This tutorial gives a closing thought on investment and then introduces the three C's of credit, which is going to become very important in your future when you want to secure a loan. And then it wraps up with some comments about having and acquiring insurance, which will also be very important for you down the road.
Where do I start investing, or how do I buy stocks, and which stocks or investments are good to buy? And I would tell you this, the answer really depends, but if you type in a search for a financial planner, just go to Google and do that, you're going to find plenty of references around it. So I've already typed financial planner into the screen. Go ahead and hit enter here, and you'll get some search results, and you can see just in Cottage Grove alone, you've got a few options there that you could start your exploring. If you went to more places, it zooms out on the map a little bit. You can see there's tons more, plenty in Hastings. This probably doesn't even represent all the possible financial planners that are in the Cottage Grove, Woodbury area, but these are just a few places to get started. Um, maybe in addition to just looking online, a family member or a coworker or a friend of yours might have somebody that they work with, and that's also a good place to start. That's how I got started, was through a friend of a friend. And my advice when you do decide on that financial planner who can help guide you through some of the questions that you have in terms of investing is make sure it's somebody that you can let go rather than you're stuck with, like a relative or a friend, because that can strain your relationship. And maybe at some point down the road, you find that what they're advising you to do isn't matching up with what you're hoping to do, and you want to make a change. Well, it's a lot harder to make a change with a family member or a friend than it would be with somebody who you just know professionally. So that's a strong piece of advice for you. All right, moving on to the next phase of things here. I'm going to close out this.
The next order of business is to look at the three C's of credit. Ever wonder, how do I get a loan? The big step in doing that is contacting a lender either in person, like a bank, or online, another online lending institution. But before that, there are things you need to know that they need to know about you. And these can be summed up as the three C's of credit. Look at the list we have in front of you. First C is character. And you can see from your credit history, a lender is going to look at that and decide, based on your number, whether you possess the honesty and reliability to pay a debt. So they may look at things like, what kind of credit have you used before, or have you used it before? If you're a first-time loan applicant, that is going to cause them to really take a close look at you, and they'll have to look at some of the other C's more closely to see what kind of risk you present. Do you pay your bills on time? And so if you're paying cell phone bills, utility bills, they can access that and find out what kind of payment history you have. How long have you lived at your present address? And how long have you been at your present job? Clearly, the more length of time, the greater length of time you've been at these, the more stability you represent and the less risk you present to them. The next C is capital. A lender is going to want to know if you have valuable assets like real estate, personal property and investments, or savings in which you can repay the debt if its income is unavailable. So if you end up losing your current job, do you still have the ability to pay back a loan because you've borrowed money from them? And so that is another consideration, capital. The third C is capacity, which refers to your ability to repay the debt. So the lender will look to see if you've been working regularly in a job that's likely to provide enough income to support your credit use and your existing spending habits. So then they'll look at things like, what is your current salary? Have you had other loans before? And if you do, have you paid them off, or are you still currently paying them off? And if you have a lot of outstanding loan, that can count against you. What are your current living expenses? What are your current debts that you hold? And do you have any dependents? Because we know the dependents will incur more costs upon you and create a greater risk for lending potentially. So lenders have to look at these three C's when they're considering what kind of loan they will maybe make available to you and what kind of rates you might be able to lock in as a borrower. Okay, the better you look to them in terms of risk, the lower interest they may very well charge you, because if you're a very secure loan, they know they're going to get their money back. They're going to want to lend to you. After this, we're going to take a look at insurance. So the next piece of this tutorial gives you a quick overview of some insurance pieces, and you'll come back to credit with the form of the game Credit Clash.
When you look at the insurance infographic, you'll have access to this. You'll see the 4 types of insurance are listed there. When I went back to grad school, after 4 years of being a bartender after I graduated from college, I was off of my parents' health insurance, but they had strongly urged me to purchase some short-term, high-deductible health insurance in case I had an emergency. And sure enough, the fall of that year, I was playing in a flag football league and caught a ball and turned it upfield and hit a guy. His head went right into my lip, and so my tooth busted through my lip and ended up having to go to the emergency room, get it stitched up to stop the bleeding. Well, that was about a $4,000 emergency trip, which of course I didn't have $4,000 at the time. I did have $1,000, and that was my deductible, so I was able to pay that. Insurance covered the rest. So that's a real life example of why you'd probably want to have some health insurance. There's a video that goes along with this, and then the end of this lesson is a 3, 2, 1